The question and the comments will go on. But the thing is, collation is on, yes, and very soon we'll be looking at the collation center at Abuja. But how is it going with a lot of people now? People watching us from across the world, and it looks so interesting to note that the key thing, I'm getting there even for those who are already disputing the fact that there was an election, was that for most of them, they were saying that it's relatively peaceful. Malaki.
Well, what are those flashpoints, even till this moment? We're talking of rivers. Where else that I know of? You could isolate those places and say that by and large, I think beyond or besides the issue of violence in those few flashpoints, it is just the resentment of logistic problems, delay in the arrival of electoral officers and the distribution of electoral materials, and so in some cases the absence of some sensitive electoral materials. But even when it happened that way, ultimately the election went on. Indeed, in places where it didn't happen, they had the opportunity on Sunday to cast their vote. We've just listened to the REC officer in Yobe, confirming that all went well. I would think that in the final analysis, when the chips are down, I think this election will come down as one that met some international standards regarding election conduct. Yes, the challenges were there, but it could be associated with some deficiencies in terms of proper training and coordination. But you would find that INEC clearly set out to show up the credibility level of this process, and then has enough mechanisms to achieve that. I think for once, Nigerians are beginning to feel that the confidence can be fully restored if we improve on what we already have.
Yeah. Well, I eventually got that mail from the man who sent us. I don't know his name. He did not include it, but he identifies himself as Santino Prince. I don't know if that is an alias. But looking at this, he titled this, inability of ad hoc staff to operate card reader. In the event that took place before the election day, INEC trained the supposed staff that were to be used for the elections. The intensive 3-day training took us through the use of the card reader and the role of each official at the polling units. But surprisingly, most of the people that were trained were not shortlisted to participate in the process. Half of the names released were not part of the trainees. I myself participated in the training under AMAC in Abuja, but was not shortlisted. Now, he summarizes everything to say, we were trained, others were paid for training allowance. We were trained, others were used for voting process. On arriving at the polling units, the few trained people among ad hoc staff had to teach others before they were able to operate the card reader. This definitely is not very positive news. How do you think that INEC can safeguard guard against this type of thing happening again, especially when it has elections so close by?
The starting point, because if this is coming from one who actually was a participant, the starting point should be a very serious proof panel, one that would immediately ascertain what happened. Because I cannot rationalize the fact that time, resources, money was expended to get the best, yet this same ugly head of corruption probably read again, just so that you have people who are now unable to maximize and utilize leverage on what was done. Now, Mr. Jega, Professor Jega should be scandalized, if I'm not mistaken, if he gets to the root of such matter and find that indeed this is what happened. Because the assurances he gave, the repeated assurances Professor Jega gave, in days preceding the election, could not be effectively juxtaposed with what eventually went on.
Well, I'm looking at the figures that INEC itself released. I mean, in terms of 150,000 card readers, and
Well,
just
very
about...
quickly, Mark, I'm sorry we have to cut you there. It looks like Professor Tahiru Jega, the big man on the eye of the storm, is out, and we should be going to Abuja very quickly so that we can see. Yeah, these are live feeds you're getting to see from our Abuja. This is the National Collation Center, as you can see, and of course, tight security with the security personnel, everyone taking their seats. Professor Tahiru Jega is already seated, and you can see the media fixing while trying to adjust all what had been adjusted before, readjust and see what comes out of this particular room. It's going to be historic here anytime, any day that they are set to give us an update on what exactly is happening. The good thing here is that Larry is here, Mark, Nyota, and another fantastic thing is that we're getting to see this live on national television, and what Nigerians would love to see and hear is the ultimate end of this particular process, which started off on the 28th of March 2015. Nigeria2015 studio still up here on Channel Television. For all those watching, here you have it, and the social media that were with stories of Jega being in hiding and Kaido.
That's counted.
Counted that. Now you can see him live on television.
But I see a man, the expression in his face shows a man who's realized, maybe it's taken a while, realized that he has the entire nation is resting on his shoulder. Indeed, the entire world is watching Jega right now.
I could also see some measure of comportment that seems...
determination.
Yes, I can see it. And this is about the product of those who have been in the struggle.
We'll come back to you, Captain Aliu.
I have been privileged to follow Professor Atahiru's antecedents professionally. If you recall, he used to be the head of ASU during some very trying times when they were not really friends with the government. And I recall once or twice being on a team that had to shadow him around. So I can tell you he's a strong-willed person. He's not someone you can easily rattle. And as you can see, despite all the contentious and very sensitive allegations that have been flying helter-skelter for the past 6 weeks and even before 6 weeks ago.
The pressure too.
The pressure too. The man has just maintained this very stoic comportment. You know, he's focused, he's going to do his thing. And I think that's a good one for INEC if we compare what we had previously to what we're getting now.
Well, tell us more what you know about the man, Professor Tahiru Jega.
Well, if you could come to me, I didn't harass him. On the contrary, we were collaborating. All of those moments during the military, I was the National Deputy Secretary of JACON led by Chief Gani Fahmi. And we had the need to expand the collaboration between ASU, the civil society, and even labor. At that point, we were, crisscrossing each other. I think that...
Well, I think we'll have the pause now. I think we have some form of audio coming from that hallowed room, as it would seem.